Welcome to this explainer. All right, let's jump straight in. When the 2026 World Cup schedule dropped, this was absolutely the Group C opener we all had circled on our calendars. I mean, you've got a star-studded Brazil, led by the legendary Carlo Ancelotti making his World Cup debut, going head-to-head against a highly disciplined, fiercely determined Morocco side. Now, everyone tuned in expecting a classic showcase of Brazilian flair, but what actually unfolded on that pitch, well, it was a completely different story.
Picture the scene at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Over 80,000 fans, the atmosphere is electric, but man, hanging over the Brazilian squad is an incredible, almost suffocating amount of historical pressure. They're chasing that elusive six-star, desperately trying to end a 24-year drought on the world's biggest stage. And the entire globe is watching to see if Ancelotti is the guy who can finally bring the magic back to the Selecao.
To really put that pressure into perspective, wrap your head around this number: 92. 92 years. That is how long it's been since Brazil last lost an opening match at a World Cup. Talk about unimaginable stakes for Ancelotti's debut. Morocco wasn't just playing 11 guys on a pitch. They were playing against nearly a century of opening day invincibility.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 1, the disruption, Morocco's tactical masterclass. So instead of that free-flowing Joga Bonito we're all used to, we witnessed a glaring tactical mismatch right from the opening whistle. Morocco came out totally determined to prove that their historic 2022 run in Qatar was absolutely no fluke. Look at this setup. On one side, Brazil is fielding a makeshift defense. They've got center back Roger Ibanez forced way out of position at right back. Contrast that with Morocco's dynamic, lethal attacks down the flanks, led by Nusair Mezraoui and Brahim Diaz. Ancelotti took a massive gamble shoehorning in extra midfielders instead of a specialist fullback, and Morocco ruthlessly turned Brazil's right flank into their own personal playground.
And you can see how this mismatch snowballed into a truly chaotic first half. Morocco's relentless pressure paid off super early. Just 21 minutes in, Ismail Saibari chips Alisson to put him up 1-0. Brazil is completely scrambling. It honestly took a desperate, sheer individual effort from Vinicius Jr. in the 32nd minute to finally curl in an equalizer. But honestly, Brazil was so disjointed that Ancelotti had to completely abandon his original game plan and make massive midfield substitutions right at halftime just to stop the bleeding.
That legendary, beautiful game, yeah, completely missing in action early on. And, you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to this incredibly honest admission from Carlo Ancelotti himself in the post-match presser. He flat out said, "The team was unbalanced, we lost several balls, we didn't play well." For a manager of his caliber, with his track record, to publicly admit his team was that vulnerable, that is a massive revelation.
Now contrast Brazil's sheer relief at surviving that half with the grounded pride of Morocco's captain, Achraf Hakimi. He told the media, "We went toe-to-toe against an opponent that is exceptionally strong." Hakimi basically demanded his squad carry that exact structural discipline into their next games. They didn't just survive against Brazil, they exposed them and proved they absolutely belong among the tournament favorites.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Savior. A flash of magic.
Look, when your entire tactical structure falls apart like Brazil's did, you basically have to pray for a moment of pure, unadulterated individual brilliance to save you from a catastrophic upset. Enter Real Madrid superstar Vinicius Jr. It's fascinating because early on he was so tightly shackled by Hakimi, he looked completely peripheral. But then boom, 32nd minute, he unleashes this sensational curling right-footed finish out of nowhere. He single-handedly rescued a struggling team and showed exactly why so many people consider him the absolute best in the world.
Let's dig a little deeper into this in Section 3, the tactical breakdown, the midfield battle. Because one moment of magic doesn't suddenly fix a broken system. The data here starkly quantifies the real story. Look at the midfield battle. You've got the brilliant breakout of 18-year-old Moroccan Ayoub Bouadji earning a solid 7.5 match rating. On the flip side, 34-year-old Brazilian veteran Casemiro managed just a 4.0. Bouadji was playing with absolutely endless energy, while Casemiro looked every bit of his 34 years, losing possession and getting caught out of position. It highlighted this massive generational gap that Morocco completely exploited.
To fix that glaring hole, Ancelotti was forced into rapid emergency action. At halftime, he pulls off the struggling Casemiro, and the out-of-position Ibanez throws on Fabinho and Danilo and basically tries to regain some shape, calm, and structural authority. And sure, Brazil looked much more balanced in the second half. But the fact that these emergency fixes were even needed on day one, that's a huge warning sign.
It's also absolutely crucial to point out the elephant in the room, the Neymar void. Man, did Brazil miss their injured superstar. They had the pace, sure,
But they desperately lack Neymar's unique ability to protect possession, draw fouls, and just slow the game down under Morocco's suffocating press. Without their maestro out there dictating the rhythm, Brazil looked rushed and panicked way too often.
Which brings us to Section 4, the bigger picture, the Group C outlook.
Zooming out from that 1-1 draw, we've got a massive surprise in the Group C standings. Look who's sitting pretty at the very top? Scotland, with 3 points after beating Haiti. What you should take away from this is that there is literally zero room for error now. Every single point going forward is absolutely critical for both Brazil and Morocco if they want to avoid an unthinkable early exit.
As the rest of the globe, and let's be real, those massive corporate sponsors watch this tournament unfold, the pressure is mounting exponentially. Brazil's next match is against Haiti, and Ancelotti has to urgently fix these tactical issues. They survived opening night, yeah, but just surviving isn't gonna cut it when you're wearing that famous yellow shirt and carrying the hopes of a football-obsessed nation.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a pivotal question to chew on. Can Brazil's individual brilliance outshine their tactical cracks? Or is Morocco the new blueprint for World Cup success? Will superstar moments from guys like Vinicius Jr. be enough to carry Brazil to a 6th title? Or has Morocco just written the definitive guide on how to dismantle them? It's going to be a fascinating tournament. Thanks for hanging out with me. Keep your eyes glued to Group C and keep asking the right questions.